Hello and welcome to a continuing discussion with Dr. Michael Kerner, Education Director for the Association for Advanced Training in the Behavioral Sciences. We're discussing the examination for the professional practice of psychology, and right now we're going to talk about a topic that comes up with just about every applicant, and that is how to reduce one's anxiety when approaching the exam. As some of you may be familiar with, the Association for Advanced Training since 1976 has been providing tools, materials, and a number of services to applicants so that they can pass their exam the first time. One of the critical elements of any study process, of course, is our home study course, which we have been preparing many applicants, and I can tell you that since 1976, I would have to say it's probably tens and tens of thousands of people have passed their exam using the home study course. And over the years, we've evolved to where we have a staff of educational consultants. These are licensed professionals as well as a research team, and they, combined with the licensed consultants, will walk you through, set up a study program, assist you through the process as you're reading, and of course our mock exams. You know, reading the materials and mastering the concepts is the first stage. Then getting feedback from your educational consultant and approaching the exams in combination will really get you where you need to be. And then, of course, the most critical element, I think, in this entire process is our 4-day workshop. We've been doing 4-day workshops throughout Canada and the United States since the very beginning. And our lead instructor is Dr. Michael Kerner. I was hoping that Mike could talk to you and to me a little bit about how we can help you minimize or at least reduce the anxiety that comes with preparing for this critical examination. Mike?
Thank you, Scott. Well done. Every one of us who have gone through this licensure exam has experienced some level of anxiety from, this is making me anxious, to, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, and anywhere in between that scale. So I'd like to give it a few thoughts.
Sure.
First, a statistic. When you look at what the pass rate is on a year, so you take the approximate 3,000 colleagues per year that take this exam binationally, the pass rate is pretty close to 57%.
57%.
It is, and that number comes off of the feedback sheets that come when you take the test. They'll give you a score, they will give you a standard deviation. Just you look at the mean for, oh my gosh, years in a row, the mean on this exam, when it was 200 questions, was 143 out of 200. That mean 50% of our colleagues were above and below that number. And the pass score was 140 in almost all the provinces, in fact in all provinces of Canada, in almost every state in the United States. And so that 143 and that 140 are very close to each other, but in fact there are 7 percentiles of our colleagues who take this exam that will fall right in that 3-point spread because there's so much regression to the mean. So with that said, it is an accurate number to say 57%. And the test has held that number for a long time, and that creates anxiety for our colleagues because most of us have been really academically very successful in our lives. If you speak to just a group of us sitting down at a table, you will see that they're all, I think, very conscientious people who are looking to do good things for people in the universe, and mostly have never failed a thing in their lives. They're very successful students. I mean, who goes on and gets, PhDs and PsyDs and EEDs? Well, to get a doctoral level of education, you've got to be one of those, if not gifted individuals, sort of cognitively speaking, damn hardworking and successful with academic endeavors. So that's a slice of life that means we, as a group, mostly have not failed anything in an academic sense. That puts a lot of pressure onto all of colleagues. So some colleagues will be watching this and they have to retake this exam, and they're dealing with this kind of personal failure. And I think it's really important to take a look at what this exam measures and what it doesn't measure. And while I believe the exam is very important, I want to say that when looking at what the exam measures and doesn't measure, I have an adult daughter. She lives in Salt Lake City. If I went to a group of colleagues and said, hey, you know, my daughter would like to see a psychologist, none of us would actually ask ourselves the question, who do we know in Salt Lake City who got a really high score on the EPPP to find the referral for her? Meaning, we don't hold that value to this exam. It's not a value of your competence as a psychotherapist. It's actually, it has a lot of face validity, but it's measuring other things than that, I believe. And the fact that colleagues wouldn't be thinking who got a high score in the EPPP, so it's important to take a look at, this is in essence a measure of test-taking abilities, a measure of how many hours you put into this process, and we've measured that, and we know that that statement is empirically correct. How many hours have you studied will impact your score. It could be affected by what school you went to, could give you a better chance than some other schools. That is also true. And so what I want to say to colleagues is that so often, if I came to them as a client and I said, you know, I've just gotten kicked and I failed this EPPP and I've got to retake it, colleagues would typically be much better, much more able taking care of me than they are taking care of themselves. So the first thing I want to say to colleagues who are looking at anxieties, whether it's because they're retaking or just the anxiety of preparing, all this stuff, is take a look at what are you doing to take care of yourself.